Hello, today I'd like to talk to you about my business proposal for Odell Brewing Company to enter the Japanese market. So, the feasibility of this project is actually very difficult. Getting into the Japanese market is going to be a very difficult task for the Colorado based company, but it can be done with some modifications to how they operate their packaging and distributions. And I also wanted to note that it's very difficult for majority of beer brands in general in Japan, and I'll get to that later when we talk about how they're going to tackle this problem. So the three big difficulties that I see in this project are going to be international distribution. By that I mean getting the beer to Japan, the culture in Japan, and often it's beers ordered in a group, and you don't have discussion of brand preference prior to ordering your beer. And so, how are we going to tackle these two difficulties? Well, I think the way we're going to do this is we're going to have to open up a brand new brewery and packing plant in Japan. And then you'll immerse yourself in the surrounding restaurants and bars. And then from there, hopefully, we can push distribution even further. So let's start with the first step, brewing and packaging. What they can do is they can mimic their current situation that they have in Colorado by having a brewing and packaging facility in one. And what you can do with this is you can offer jobs as well as a place to hang out to the local community. And you'll be able to offer the local government and agencies the fact that they're already practicing a sustainable resource model. They use 4 gallons of water per gallon of beer. The U.S. national average currently is above 7. So the fact that they're operating at such a high capacity would allow them to get around any concerns that maybe the local government might have when it comes to them doing this. And here's where I think that you'd have to look at who you're going to hire to run this. I think that hiring an expat to go out there and begin operations to mimic what you have currently in Colorado is a good idea, but you're going to want to have local people running and operating majority of this, simply because you want to build and foster relationships with other local establishments. Like I mentioned, in Japan, often the first round of drinks is ordered together communally. And this isn't, you don't discuss, it's not proper to discuss, I prefer, this brand versus this brand. That's not a thing you do. So by having someone that knows the local culture, understands that, and is able to go to the surrounding restaurants and bars and say, hey guys, this would be great for, that first round of drinks that we tend to do. Another thing that'll do in the community is offering a place for everyone to hang out at. And so with that, if you start with this and you get these roots built into the community, then what you'll be able to do, hopefully, is push distribution even further. And so what I mean by that is Japan's a very vending machine heavy culture. They have a lot of food as well as beverages that you can purchase from a vending machine. And so if you were able to be successful in opening the first place, then you can push the distribution into the further market, i.e. cans in the vending machines. Or if your network is wide enough of distribution, you'd be able to open up a second location. Speaking of location, what you're going to want to look for is you're going to want to look for something with a freshwater source. Like I mentioned previously, you use a lot of water when you're working with brewing any type of beverage, but specifically beer. And you're going to want something where you're going to have a lot of activity from tourists as well as natives. So based on all of this, I think that the Tone River is a great place to operate near. There's a lot of whitewater rafting that happens around there. It's definitely a destination site for a lot of folks, and you're just outside of the metropolitan area. And so by setting up shop with this in mind, you're able to look at how you're going to have a constant customer base. Are you going to be able to keep up with, the regulations in place with that? And I think that by setting yourself up with this ideas in mind and this location, like I said, the Tone River, you'd have a great place to start with. And so the keys to this, I think, really truly is their culture of sustainability. By preserving water and showing the Japanese community that it's not going to be a wasteful process. We tend to be viewed as, we as in those of us within the United States, tend to be viewed as a little bit more wasteful when it comes to not only water, but a lot of our natural resources. And so Odell, they operate very high efficiency with the use of their water. They use recycled water in their production of their beer and the cleaning of their facilities, as well as their packaging station. They also use solar electricity to help run the plant. And then again, this whole thing will lead to adding value to the community. So jobs will be in place, not only in the brewing of the beer, but also in the packaging and the distribution, as well as, again, that communal manner. As I mentioned, the first drink in a bar with Japanese culture is usually done as a group. There's also a tradition where you will order a bottle of beer, or in this case it would probably be a can, because that's what they tend to use. They're a little bit more sustainable, for another person, and you will pour that for them as a sign of respect. And so being able to establish yourself in that community, and illustrating that this operation is bringing the operation to the Japanese and instilling it in their culture, is what's going to really, I think, in my opinion, set up Odell to operate really well in this culture and in this political environment. And then, so just in conclusion, by utilizing all of the tools that already made Odell successful here in the United States, they could be. I really do think they can become the first craft brewing company to break that international barrier, and they can take that culture of sustainability that they've built and share it worldwide. Thank you very much.